Hey friends, it's me Peter, and welcome to my second of 3 videos taking a look at shows that jumped the shark. 2 weeks ago I examined some of my favorite Nicktoons and talked about when they hit their downhill moment. Well, this week I'm sticking with the Nickelodeon theme and taking a look at some of my favorite live-action Nick shows as well as my favorite Nickelodeon game shows. Let's start off by taking a look at a show that I would argue may have been the greatest live-action show on Nickelodeon, All That. The sketch comedy show for kids jumped the shark in the 5th season, when longtime cast members Lori Beth Denberg and Kel Mitchell left the show. In addition, Season 5 also saw Nick Cannon and Mark Saul join the cast. Now, I know this is going to make me really unpopular, but I do not find Nick Cannon funny. I don't get why he's popular, I don't think he's funny, and his characters on All That were not memorable at all. It didn't help that not long after this, Nickelodeon made him their unofficial spokesman, so he appeared everywhere on the network. Keeping with the theme of All That, the next show I'm taking a look at is Kenan and Kel. Now, for much of the show's run, Kenan and Kel didn't jump the shark, despite the fact that every episode is pretty much the same, with Kenan coming up with a great idea and Kel invariably screwing it up in some way. However, the show jumped because of one reason: the made-for-TV movie, Two Heads Are Better Than None. Boy, was this movie a snooze fest. It wasn't funny, it wasn't entertaining, it was dull, and if it hadn't been the last hurrah for the series, I dare say it would have led to its cancellation. There's one more All That spin-off I'd like to discuss with you guys, and that, of course, is The Amanda Show. Now, compared to Kenan and Kel and All That, I wasn't the biggest fan of The Amanda Show, but the first season at least kept my interest. But the second season is when it jumped the shark. That's when John Kassir, one of the adult cast members, left the show to pursue other projects. But not only that, Josh Peck, who had previously starred in Nickelodeon's movie Snow Day, joined the cast. And once again, I know this is going to make me very unpopular, but I don't find Josh Peck funny. In fact, I find him very annoying. And much like Nick Cannon, I don't feel that Josh Peck had any memorable characters from The Amanda Show. Now let's move on from comedy to drama, with 3 series that I feel had so much potential, but sadly jumped the shark. I'd like to start off with The Mystery Files of Shelby Woo, a show about a police intern in Cocoa Beach, Florida, who helps solve crimes, much to the chagrin of the actual police detectives. The show held my interest and kept me coming back episode after episode, until, for some reason, they decided to move Shelby from Cocoa Beach, Florida, up to Boston. The entire cast, except for Shelby and her grandpa, was replaced on the show, and these new characters didn't have the same charm as the old ones. What facilitated this change, I have no idea, but it put a huge damper on the show and caused me to stop watching it. Next up is Animorphs, and I promise you guys I will do my very best not to start a rant on this. I loved Animorphs when it first started. I remember catching the first episode when I was in 4th grade and being hooked from day one. I watched episode after episode after episode. Heck, I had almost the entire first season recorded on VHS. So you may be wondering, if I was such a big fan of the show, what made me start disliking it? Well, it all started when I decided to start reading the book series. As soon as I picked up the books, I slowly began to realize how horribly the adaptation from print to screen was. It permanently affected my opinion of the series, and I could no longer enjoy it. Let's conclude the drama series by taking a look at Are You Afraid of the Dark? A show that really wasn't all that scary, but it was at least entertaining and memorable. The show aired for a couple seasons in the mid-90s before being canceled, but apparently reruns were very popular because in 1999, Nickelodeon got the bright idea to reboot the series. And that's where all the trouble started. You remember earlier I was saying how the original series was memorable even if it wasn't scary? The problem with the new series was that it was flat out boring. I could not tell you what happened in any episode of the reboot, even though I've seen about 5 of the episodes. Reboots, interestingly enough, are what has also caused a number of Nickelodeon game shows to jump the shark. For instance, the very first game show to ever air on Nickelodeon was Double Dare. Hosted by Mark Summers, the series had several incarnations over the years, including Super Sloppy Double Dare and Family Double Dare. But it was the final incarnation of the series that killed it, and that was Double Dare 2000, which came out, well, in the year 2000. The main mistake this show made was not having Mark Summers as host. Now, you could argue that he was probably busy with the Food Network and all. If he was so busy, then why bother rebooting the show in the first place? Jason Harris was just such a boring host, he was so monotonous, and it didn't look like he was having any fun. Mark Summers always looked like he was having a great time on the show. Another Nickelodeon show killed by a reboot was Nickelodeon Guts, which again had several incarnations over the years, including my personal favorite, Global Guts. Like Double Dare, Guts ended in the mid-90s, and was mostly forgotten by the time the 2000s rolled around. Then in 2010, Nickelodeon had the bright idea to reboot the show as My Family's Got Guts. Now, in full disclosure, I have never seen a full episode of the reboot, I've only seen clips of it, but just based on that, I can tell you it was terrible. They messed around with the format a little bit, and it seemed like everything about the show got downgraded. The Crag, which was the main draw of the show, was greatly reduced in size, and was very disappointing. Now, there is one other Nickelodeon game show that had a reboot, which is Figure It Out. Now, based on my opinions of reboots, you might think I would dislike the show for having a reboot. Actually, to be quite honest, I actually saw a couple episodes of it and was pretty impressed by it, believe it or not. Now, Figure It Out jumped after a while when I slowly began to realize that some of these talents the kids had were something any kid could do. In particular, there was one episode where a girl reenacted Figure It Out with her guinea pigs. With all due respect, I'm pretty sure anybody with guinea pigs can do that. Not that I'm belittling her talent or anything, but it just didn't seem all that impressive. And finally, the last show I will be discussing with you guys today is my favorite Nickelodeon game show, Legends of the Hidden Temple. And I have to be honest with you guys, even though I love Legends of the Hidden Temple, it too fell victim to the shark. The shark appeared for Legends of the Hidden Temple back in 1995 when the third season aired. To me, that was the season the writers just gave up. Now, to be fair, Legends of the Hidden Temple had never been entirely accurate with their legends before, but the third season seemed like when they took the most liberties, completely making up facts, and in some instances, I think they made up characters as well, who the legends were based upon. Another reason Season 3 was the low point for Legends was because the temple had a static layout. Although in previous seasons rooms had changed fairly frequently, that was not true in Season 3, when all the rooms remained the same. And there you have it, my friends. My look at some of my favorite live-action Nickelodeon shows, as well as Nick game shows and when they jumped the shark. Leave me a comment down below if you agree or disagree with any of my comments, and let me know when your favorite Nickelodeon live-action show or game show jumped the shark. Join me again in 2 weeks when I take a look at some of my other favorite shows that have jumped the shark. Until then, this is Peter saying see you later.